Anybody who has seen my channel, you know the Native Sons Goods ads. Might even be a little bit sick of them by now, but... Today's video is sponsored by Native Sons Goods, makers of the highest quality woven guitar, bag, and camera straps you'll ever see. Native Sons straps are handmade one at a time in the USA with unparalleled love and care. Click the link in the description to check out their new expanded lineup featuring all new 3-inch guitar straps. And remember, when you support my sponsor, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it.
Hey y'all, it's Shitpost Friday!
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Brad the Guitologist here. It is time again for Shitpost Friday. As a lot of you guys might know who watch the channel regularly, I just got back this past weekend from Summer NAMM down in Nashville, Tennessee. First of all, I want to thank TJ, my good friend with whom I've filmed a few videos, for inviting me down, having me stay at his house and stuff. It was real cool to be able to hang out with somebody that's, you know, not the member of my immediate family for a change. Met a lot of cool and interesting people. Of course, you guys have probably seen the video where I got to meet Johnny Hiland and hang out with him for a little while, which was very, very cool. I appreciate his time very much. At Summer NAMM, also met a lot of interesting people, met a lot of inventors of technology, met a lot of people who are doing some very interesting things, I have to say. You know, I like I said, haven't always been the biggest on going to NAMM and conventions and stuff like that. You know, just a lot of people, a lot of noise. And it just feels like maybe, you know, less actual business gets done than everybody lets on, perhaps. But, you know, I did actually have a great time, met a lot of interesting people, met some good contacts that might be beneficial to the channel going forward. So that it was definitely worth doing. It was worth going down, pressing the flesh, meeting some of the people, you know, such as got to meet a representative from the supply house where I buy a lot of my parts. And so, you know, it's possible we may be able to put a deal together in the future for a sponsorship there. Also got to meet my current sponsor, Native Sons Goods, which was amazing. They've been a long-time sponsor of this channel. Been very instrumental to the success of the channel, I have to say. And I think I can speak for them when I say, you know, the feeling is a bit mutual. You know, I think this channel has also helped their business to grow. So that's been real cool. And it was really great meeting them finally. One of the more interesting conversations I had was with a Gibson employee, actually, who approached me and introduced himself and said he worked for Gibson in Europe, and said that, you know, he'd seen all my videos on the Gibson stuff that had happened recently, and said, you know, in particular, he watched the 5 things Gibson needs to do to stop sucking video. And he said he agreed with all of those points. He said actually a couple of the points the company has already, you know, started to change on and already has taken to heart. And I don't know if that's because of the video, probably not, but they, I do know for a fact that, you know, their whole approach to start being less litigious and start more cooperation was one of the things I actually pointed out. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be to their benefit to stop being as litigious because they keep losing all these litigation cases anyway. And, you know, if you're going to get anything out of it, you may as well try to partner with people. And instead of giving all that money to lawyers and courts and flushing it down the toilet, you know, it's probably best to try to cut your losses and get a half of a cent on the dollar if you can. Which, you know, I think that's what the approach Gibson is now taking. And plus, that's going to help them also by not going to court. They're going to be able to avoid embarrassing situations where they lose the trademarks on some of their property. So, you know, there's actually a case ongoing right now that I read about where the 335, this is actually an older case as well. It's a 5-year-old case, I believe, where the 335 is under some dispute. And, you know, if they can't make some kind of deal out of court, I'm afraid if they take this all the way into court, they're probably going to lose that too, the way that Fender did in 2009. So we'll see how that goes. In the news, I wanted to show you guys this. This is Shark Tank's Mr. Wonderful. I forget his last name's Kevin something. Anyway, you recognize the guy, surely. But he, there's this whole article about him, and he apparently collects vintage guitars, and he's talking about how he feels like the vintage guitar market will outperform the stock market over the ensuing decades. So he has gone apparently really heavily into vintage guitars. Some of the other things he says he buys in this article are vintage watches, high-end watches, other luxury items like pins. I actually I kind of feel him on the pins thing. I collect. Not collect, but I do own a few, cool fountain pens. I have a few around here, and I've started to kind of get into the fountain pen thing for some stupid reason. It just feels like writing, longhand is a lost art, and I don't know. It feels almost like preserving it in a way if you can actually use an old school fountain pen. So I've started, buying fountain pens and all that kind of stuff. Another thing I've kind of found is that really anything that's sort of a throwback that's considered a luxury item, like some of the razors and things that people have sent me in the past, I know that those have gotten quite expensive, some of the older models of those. So, there are just some things that you can, if you're a collector and you want to collect things that you have a reasonable expectation that in the future people will still use them, and people may still prize them and pay a lot of money for them, there's a few things that you can probably get into. Worse things for sure than guitar. The thing is, whenever times are tough, times are uncertain, people are going to always look for places to park their assets in real goods that they can keep in their homes, that if they have to get the hell out of Dodge for some reason, they feel like they can grab a few things and go that, have some value, that are expensive enough to be worth the time and effort. And guitars kind of fit that bill, let's face it. A lot of vintage guitars are, in a price bracket that if they had to, jump on a plane and go to Dubai or something, they could take, they could take a 50s or 60s Gibson or something like that with them and, sell it once they got there, recoup, a lot of their money and maybe even make a little money on it and, have a vacation and be where they want to be. So, I think that goes into a lot of people's thought process whenever they do collect vintage guitars or high-end guitars or anything high-end, I suppose, for that matter. But just an interesting article. I thought it was interesting, particularly coming from a guy who's an investor. There were a lot of articles like this after the economy collapsed back in 2007, 2008. A lot of articles that came out around that time and a couple years thereafter that were kind of, talking about the same sorts of things about, the investment opportunities in guitar, particularly because the market had just taken a hit, so a really great time to buy. Fortunately for me, that's about the time I did really start buying a lot of guitars, was when people were, unloading them from their closets. They were trying to make ends meet. It was a situation where, I had a few extra dollars, they needed a few extra dollars, and I would rather have the guitar than the dollars. So, it was mutually beneficial at the time for both of us, and it just so happens that, over the course of time since then, some of those things have gained a little bit of value, so I've been on the winning end of some things. So, that is definitely something to think about. The next time you go and buy an instrument, you of course, can I play this thing? Is it right for me? Is it the right fit? That should be foremost in your mind. But as an ancillary benefit, if you're stuck between two guitars that you want to buy and they both feel great, they both play great, which one is going to appreciate the more over, the next 10, 20, 30 years, may be the thing that seals the deal for you in your mind. So, I just thought this was an interesting article and something you should definitely check out. So, yeah, I thought what I might do is mainly show you guys some of the experiences I had at NAMM. Like I said, I met a lot of cool people, a lot of YouTubers, actually. The first day I was there on Thursday, ran into Steve from Boston, who was real fun. He was real cool to hang out with. We made fun of each other's accents and had a great time walking around together. So Steve, if you're watching this, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me. I had a great time with you. Actually, one of the favorite people I met there was Steve. I met also Dovidas, who has a YouTube channel as well. You guys might know him from his videos where he does a lot of stuff. He does like, what happens when someone requests Steve Vai, at a gig. A lot of cool stuff in his back catalog. I encourage you to check him out too. Also, he has a really, really cute entourage, I must say. I don't know if it was his girlfriends or what, but he had a couple really cute girls following him around, which I guess added to the mystique. Also, he was wearing these shoes that like lit up. I don't know what they were, but they were like, it was almost like those ones that kids wear, that when they step, they light up, except these were almost constantly lit up. So, very high-end pair of shoes, I suppose, which was another thing I think people are investing in, is like high-end shoes, which to me is absolutely ridiculous, but what do I know? A lot of people make a lot of money on that stuff. Let's see, who else did I see there? I caught some glimpses of some other people. You guys, I ate lunch with Glenn Fricker and Marcos, who's a guy from a speaker company that, you know, perhaps we be able to do some kind of sponsorship deal with, hopefully in the future. But yeah, man, you know, lots of cool meetings, lots of cool people I ran into. I ran into Morris from Boaz Guitars just very briefly. Morris seemed in good spirits. He was there showing off the Boaz 1 guitar, which, by the way, is about to start going on sale, so definitely look out for that. Stop by the Kiesel booth, and thank you, Kiesel, by the way, for you know, for sponsoring me to be there. They didn't have to do that, but it was really cool of them to get me a badge, so thank you very much, Kiesel Guitars, for that. A couple of the guys from Kiesel said, hey, we watch your channel, we love your channel, so that was really gratifying and cool to know that, you know, guys who are in the industry take some time out to watch this lowly channel. So, but yeah, now I thought I would show you some of the footage that I got at this year's Summer NAMM in Nashville, Tennessee. So sit back, grab yourself a glass of bourbon on the rocks or a coffee or whatever it is you drink, and enjoy.
And I'm your fellow Canadian.
Hey, what's up, Glenn?
You know this motherfucker, don't you?
And he doesn't have a clue. Yeah, there you go.
Brad the Guitologist. Oh, right on. Fuck, how's it going, dude? I've heard the name.
I think it's
name dropped a few times. How's it going, everybody? Watch the show. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
That's about how I feel right there.
About you.
Good seeing you, brother. Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. How's it going? Richie. Right? Oh.
Who's the guy trying to give me the takedown?
Who's the guy I'm gonna have to sit on?
What's up, dude? What's up, man? Hey, the drummer boy.
Beer from Canada.
Doesn't sweat. That guy, yeah.
That's right. Good.
How are you, man?
Good. Good to see you.
I saw a really...
He's the bastard. That's okay.
Oh, you know me?
Okay, yes, I do.
Awesome.
I was like,
I knew you might. As soon as I saw these, I was like, I bet he knows.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely a similar answer. So what is this? Old Buick?
Yeah, from a 1950 Buick.
Wow. And the case is a heater, right? Is that a heater?
That was the actual radio.
Oh,
it was like set underneath the dash like that. Had the speaker built in. They didn't do that for very long, but
right. Old toaster.
Yeah.
Old.
It still opens.
Yeah, dude. That's killer.
That's awesome.
You see so much of this stuff, but estate sales, flea markets, and people are on the verge of throwing it out. You know.
Yep.
They really don't know what to do with it, and they just stick it in like a flea market or something and leave it.
Yep.
A lot of times, hell, you can get a nice old radio for $5-10.
I have a lot around here.
Yeah.
A lot more here. I'm in Austin, so it's a little bit harder to find down there.
While you're here, man, you need to go around to the antique malls and
I've
stuff.
done a couple of them. I found a few.
Yeah, have you good? Good.
Yeah. That's what I do every time I come here.
Rock on. Where are you from?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Okay. Yeah, I think Texas, it's so big, and I don't know, stuff didn't get out there the same way that it did. Right?
People didn't bring stuff that way.
Yeah. You can kind of see it from like you watch Uncle Doug's channel. Uncle Doug. Oh yeah, he's amazing. But you can tell the disparity of the things I'm able to find and the things that, because he finds something that's like I might see every day, and he's like, well, this is awesome.
Right. Exactly.
Man, you should come to up to the Louisville area, Indiana, Southern Indiana.
That's what everyone's telling me.
Dude, anything closer you get to Chicago, really, everything radiates out from there. This is amazing, man. I love your work. Very cool.
Shit post? I don't know.
Yeah, I got it.
I can see Senator Sheehan, a video has come to the attention of this.
Is that where you live? That's the smallest scratch. It's just, yeah, because there's so many.
I got a P90, but I need a single pickup.
children of the night. What sweet music they make.
Music? Those animals?
Non-binding? Long time.
Like, I'm not going anywhere. Don't try somebody.
Well, I switched back to Pro Tools after many years. So I was Logic before that, but I was Logic 9. So you're doing really don't dig 10. Yeah. I just don't dig it. So I ran 9 in the ground. So I started way back in it. I just come back to Pro Tools about a year and a half ago.
So look who it is. Look who it is. Native Sons. So yeah, fancy running into you guys. Anybody who has seen my channel, you know the Native Sons Goods ads. You're fully aware of them, I'm sure. And you might even be a little bit sick of them by now, but every Native Sons that you buy, you're buying from these good folks. This is Brandy and her husband Chris, or do you go by Christopher? Chris. And these are their products. And I always tout them as the best woven strap that I've ever seen, and I mean that. Yeah. I truly mean that. The way you guys construct these is just beyond reproach. I could find absolutely nothing. There wasn't a wrong stitch, a wonky stitch, none of that stuff. And you make these one at a time by hand, right? This isn't outsourced to China or anything like that. This is New Mexico, right? Albuquerque. Incredible stuff. If you guys haven't checked out the Native Sons Goods products yet that I advertise on this channel, you've got to check them out, man. Absolutely incredible. I see you've got some new. What's new? This one's new. I haven't seen this one yet.
Yeah, that one's brand new. We have a lot of stuff that we're introducing here at NAMM that we haven't had listed on this site yet, and these will be up soon. So this one we're calling the Malibu.
The Malibu. Yeah. What's this? Let's see. That looks new as well. Is that new?
That's new. Yeah, that's the Avalon.
Avalon. Okay. Yeah, I'm just extremely impressed with the way that, like, especially on the tongues, the way that you put your tongues together, with the stitch, and the stitch is exceptionally, impeccably straight every time, and, and you rivet them. So it's like it's doubled, it's stitched and riveted, so it's like the best I've ever seen. Check them out, guys. NativeSonsGoods.com.
Man, I've been just loading up on slides. Mag slide.
Johnny got that mag slide yesterday.
Greg just gave me this. Greg Pop.
Yeah, nice, Greg.
He's down.
Those suckers are light. Those are light.
I don't even know how to open them. I'm looking for their booth. I wanted to go by their booth since they were nice enough to give me something to use.
It's a thing, I guess. It'll be.
Do you remember where the mag slide booth was?
No, actually I don't. I gotta need both hands to do that. Sorry.
Look how light it is, man.
I got one made out of titanium from a company in Arizona too. Dude, I use these little picks, dude, and I think they're the greatest thing ever. If I can find them, I've been giving them to everybody. They're little jazz 3s, but they're made out of some strange material, some space age. That's a bigger one. But like for any kind of picking, they just glide.
Really?
Some of them look like a booty.
Yeah. Oh, it's a booty.
Some of them are a heart.
It's an ass.
It is an ass.
My wife modeled for those. The guy said his scanner was broke. They kept feeling her up. It was weird.
Mine wouldn't fit on a jazz pick. But
yeah, they made one of mine with my ass, but it was just a flat fender pick. Yeah. Your hand just slides down.
That's all white guy problems.
Yeah.
No
it's all white guy. Amen.
Right?
First world problems.
So Boscoe France, man. This is my buddy Boscoe France.
This is my friend Brad, the guitologist.
Yep. He and I kind of go way back. I guess
way back.
Fuck, man. 2011, 2012.
Before that, man.
I don't know,
because you worked at the store.
Oh, that store. We did meet way back then.
Yeah.
We sure as fuck did.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Boscoe France, killer guitar player, man. Go check him out.
Yeah, 4 murders. I can't back that up.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
If you use a jazz, they're so good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll grab you some before I leave.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'll try it.
But like for trying to play fast.
Yeah. Right. I thought you was jazz the way to go.
Yeah.
So check it out. There's a truss rod that runs up in here. This actuator in the back, it pulls it out from up here. This thing also, when it's opened, it maintains like 4 pounds of pressure on the strings, so they are manageable and they stay intact. So you literally just lift this guy up, breaks apart. Wow. To play it again, open it back up, lock it in, and you're ready to play.
Who's the inventor?
Jonathan Spangler, Ciari Guitars, C-I-A-R-I, and Ciari Guitars.
So, what's his background?
John is a patent attorney. Has some background in a medical device company. Actually, this is anodized aircraft grade aluminum that is manufactured by a company that does medical devices. So there's, the tolerances are to like the 4th, 5th decimal. It's very tight. It's been very well engineered.
This almost reminds me of something you might see in an old like pinball machine or an old, you know what I'm saying, like an old arcade machine or something. You know?
It's a very cool thing. It's there are a lot of companies that have tried to do it, either taking the neck off or the strings off, and nothing has had both the playability of a professional grade guitar and the ease of being able to travel with it. And this is something that Ciari just nailed.
Would it be possible to hold it one more time and let me see what the back is doing?
Yeah. Okay. So you can see it up here. This pulls a truss rod out from here.
Okay.
So I'll go kind of slow with it.
Okay, so this rod is retracting, allowing this to, it pulls out of this.
And that's the tip of the truss rod right there. Gotcha. So like as you open it up,
that will go forward.
Yep, it goes back up. That's what locks and sets the neck. And this remains under tension, the perfect amount of tension to keep it in tune.
Right.
And it's something that you could, in order to get the repeatability of it, to have the same result every time, was an extremely difficult, hurdle to get over in the engineering of it. And we're pretty proud of it. It's what we always wanted it to be.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm in this booth, and I noticed that there's a Tuna tone guitar over here. You guys might remember the Tuna tone guitar that got stolen. I think this is this guitar right here behind me.
Probably Joe wants to come over and see this. It's really good. Yeah, the price of this one here is $6,000. The starting price is $37.99. I got you. Okay. You take this one. Thank you so much. Sure.
Is this your booth?
I'm one of the builders.
Oh, that's you. Okay. Oh, you're the Relish. You do Relish guitars?
I represent Relish in the United States.
Okay.
Along with other brands like Paoletti and Batson Guitars.
Okay.
Here at the Boutique Guitar Showcase.
Right, okay. Yeah, I've seen those online. My only concern on those would be the longevity of this. I'm not sure how trustworthy this would be for me as a player.
Well, let's say worst case scenario. At one point it will stop working.
Right.
We have a software update, so we can always reload the software.
Okay. How easy would the part be to replace? Is this?
This is just a touchpad with an LED, so there is no. It's all in the software.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I saw these online, and that was my only. The only thing that really jumped out at me that might.
We do offer the same version with a toggle switch.
You do offer one?
We do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. But we haven't had any issues with our touchpad.
Yeah, I was really curious about it. How that.
So you get a blend your pickups, you can find a sweet spot, right in between.
Right.
And there's also a split coil function. So using 2 fingers, the blue light indicates you're on a single coil. If you press 2 fingers, now it goes white, and that's humbucker. I can do the same thing over here. Now they're both humbucker.
Cool.
There's also Kiesel for acoustic sound.
Interesting. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Alright guys, so that'll do it for Shitpost Friday. I really hope you've enjoyed this excursion down to Nashville, Tennessee to the Summer NAMM show. I had a great time. Once again, thank you to TJ. Thank you to everybody who met with me. Take a minute to go over to Channel 2 and subscribe. I will probably be putting some more material up on Channel 2 this weekend. I've got a lot of videos coming down the pipe, so definitely look out for that. And for now, y'all take care. Another one that was always around was this, Aloha from Hawaii via satellite.